この隙に、ちょっとこれで勉強して自分のに備えます。
OK
めっちゃ緊張する、あれ。
今日94人だから。Good afternoon. We're still waiting for others to join. So, okay. I'm gonna wait for another few minutes until more people show up. Okay.
Testing, testing. Testing, testing. No?
Yeah.
You hear me, Masaru?
Yes, yes, thank you.
Got my email as well?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
So we're expecting a total of 94 people who are registered.
Great.
I'm going to start in a minute.
Okay.
Just
I mute myself.
Yes, yes. I'm just letting other people in.
I might give a lecture later, but I need to learn how to use for lecture first because I don't know. Okay. I want to see how you guys doing first.
Okay. Yeah, I think in Asia, I think we need to be a bit flexible with the time. Although I'm a host in the Japanese, I'm very punctual. Let's get a few more minutes before I start, maybe 2 more minutes or so. We got 29 people now. I'm still learning also about how to use this properly. Okay. The meeting control. Okay, good evening, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us this very first time attempt of the AEN E-learning today. I'm the chair of the board of the AEN and very happy to try this out for the first time among our board members. Today is more of the introductory session where we're trying to engage with other board members who are lined up to follow in the month of May so that they can start talking more about the details on how they're trying to cope with the COVID-19 as well as other issues like the ecotourism training. So I would like to start off by saying that AEN is part of Global Ecotourism Network. And if you have ever been to our Global Ecotourism Network website, you should be able to see, I'm sorry, I have to do this. Let everybody in while I'm talking. Is that the Global Ecotourism Network has trying to organize, establish 6 global or sub-global level of regions, which AEN is one of them. And I went through the names of the registrants today. We see people from Africa. We have just one joined from Jordan, Middle East. We have from Latin America and also from Europe and the Pacific. So even though we say it's Asia, I think this idea of having the remote e-learning is that as long as you're okay with the time difference, the benefit is that you can join from anywhere in the world. I know that my screen that I'm trying to share has some difficulties, but the idea is that we have this North America underway now for establishment. Latin American and Caribbean is already been established. Europe already been established, not yet legally, but they have the network. The Middle East, Africa, Africa has some movements there, and AEN, of course, that's us, that we are in Asia Pacific, have started our engagement since 2015. So our latest updates are normally found in a website, which I'm trying to get into this site here. So I think a lot of you have registered through our AEN website, where we have the links to these upcoming events. So this red one shows that are the topics which we are planning to host the e-learning. For example, if you click on number 1, which is on the COVID-19, it would show me here right now, but the starting from May 1st, we would have Zane from New Zealand, Albert on the following day on the 2nd, and we have Mohit on the 3rd from India, and we have Niracha and the other members from Thailand joining us on the 8th of May. And we have other trainings. If you go to ecotourism training, we have Samil Tapa from Nepal, who is going to talk on the 5th of May, followed by Kazu from Japan, scheduled to be talking on the 12th. So I'm hoping that this would open discussions, and hopefully that people who are not engaged yet with AEN would see who we are now in action on the ground, even though we are united remotely. We feel that we are very close in hearts, where we are very much of action-based, mission-driven people, where we're trying to make changes in the language of ecotourism. So without further ado, I'd like to get on to today's topic, is on the COVID-19. There are two things I would like to introduce to you today, which I had a great help with our Sri Lankan board member, Sri Lau. I'm just going to show you, not this one. Oops. I can do this right. Okay, this one. I hope you can see it on your screen, what I'm trying to show you. Mr. Srila has put on YouTube, so but in the context of the Sri Lankan tourism. So what I have done is to cater to more broader Asia Pacific context with ecotourism. So I'd like to introduce to you 18 future trends in travel tourism in the forecast of the post-COVID-19. First is that we are looking at, oops, I'm sorry again. We are looking at less long-haul travels and more short hauls, meaning that people are trying to travel now. That's what they want to do. However, they're afraid of traveling long haul because of the very closed space. So once this COVID-19 restriction is lifted, or in a way slackened, the idea of the people who are going to travel would be choosing closer places. So the popular places would be, because we are based in Asia, I think it's going to be more or less Asia or Asia Pacific, rather than going to Europe or US, or vice versa, people coming to Asia, maybe within the region. Number two, it's about the preference for direct flights. As you know, that it raises the chance of getting infected at the moment. If you have more chance to travel through congested area, meaning if you have 2 or 3 different flights to get into destination, you are raising the risk of getting infected. So people are trying to avoid the direct flights. So short haul direct flights may be the good market targets. The third point is there will be less cheap flights. you can imagine if you ever been to anywhere in the economy class, you can see that you can almost touch the people who are next sitting to you. So the physical distancing, which we're getting accustomed to now, within flights would not work. So what people are wanting to do from now on is to choose flights. I have been to Europe many times using what they call business class flights. What they do is they would use this regular economy class seats. However, they have one seat open next to you to make it a business class. But that's a sort of the idea where the airliners are trying to engage with the new arrangements where people would choose that distancing. But it also means that the cost of the flight must also rise in relation, because there are less number of passengers who can travel at the same time. So that's happening. And number 4 is for ecotourism practitioner, I think it's a good thing because people will be choosing less group traffic and more traveling with the more smaller groups, like including FITs. So what ecotourism have been doing until now is we have been doing this, catering for smaller groups. So I think the trend is actually good for us, for ecotourism people. Travelers may prefer to take smaller group trips over more reasonable but mass tourism packages to keep the physical distancing. So I think that's good news when things are coming back to normal. The 5th point is that more private, customized excursions to less crowded tourism sites. And I think ecotourism sites are relatively less crowded, or very much less crowded. So I think ecotourism sites like private areas, protected areas, very much often tours are customized. So definitely less crowded places will be the choice for people who are going to urban areas until now. So I think the ecotourism industry will gain the momentum from the actual mainstream people who have not had the chance to enjoy ecotourism sites, because I think this pause, the hiatus, not being able to travel, this time is giving the people a chance to think about the quality of life, or the value of the life, or the life with the families. So I think we can foresee that the people are choosing to less crowded places over urban areas. Number 6 is that medium to smaller size hotels, which can be exhibited to good health and safety protocols in operation, will be in demand. So rather than going to big hotels where people are gathering, people start looking for, of course, comfort, but also safety in less crowded situation. That means eco-lodge and eco-resorts, nature resorts, or community-based accommodation facilities. So I think in ecotourism, I think the chances are very well targeted, so that we have a better chance of luring those people, which is also a good indication, we think. Number 7 is the high-end hotels and boutique properties in particular can be positioned as safe getaways for wealthy visitors. So if you have the if you have the properties who are targeted for wealthy people, for example, adding more values to be as a safe getaways, you would have a much better chance of luring these people into from the mainstream market, although it is a niche market. Number 8 is that more focused on wellness or yoga or any other sorts of spiritual engagement, authenticity, nature, spirituality. These are the keywords that people are thinking more about themselves. Families, nature, improving lifestyle that matters. So going to enjoy slow travels. These things are very much in line with what we do in ecotourism, and of course, as a part of slow travels and community-based tourism, nature-based tourism, all these, of course, what we do really well in Asia. So I think this is also looking good. As for MICE, this is for mainstream. However, we need to note that the people are starting to avoid gathering at one place in a large number of people. So the hotels and the convention centers that cater the needs of MICE need to rethink of the revenue stream. More events like this we're just taking now will be happening more often. So I think we are not traveling, so there's less CO2 emission. However, of course, when things come back to normal, people will be wanting to travel. So, but not for MICE. That's the projection we have. And number 10 is about the cruise travel. In ecotourism, we have had some discussions about a lot of the negative comments, despite that there are, of course, a lot of the positive economic incentives and others. The cruise industry may be the last industry to recover. So many of the islands are dependent on the cruise industry. In some areas may actually face difficulty. So going away from cruise travel and going to more localized tours will be the choice for short-term, short-term gain for tourism who are trying to come back to a normal pace. I'm getting a lot of the messages here. Okay, and coming back, number 11 is the increase in business travel. Of course, we are doing a lot of online meetings, but of course, face-to-face business still need to be conducted, and actually, the business people may come back faster than holiday travelers because things need to be get done. I think they're very dormant at this moment, but they're wanting to actually get it done in order to drive the economy so that the willingness to travel can be higher than the ones that, the holiday travelers who can postpone more time for longer term. And number 12 is that increase of domestic tourism. As you know, a lot of the ecotourism destinations and businesses have been targeting the overseas tourists, but I think the trend is very much sure that people will start looking into quick getaways or short hauls, as I told in the very beginning, when it starts to come back for normal. Yet we want to avoid, especially for the businesses, to avoid heavily discounting yourselves to attract the people from your countries. Rather, focus on the value additions to regain what's lost during the pandemic period. I think underselling product wouldn't help you much. That once you lower the price, it's very hard to bring the price back again when things come back to normal. So, I think the confidence is very much needed here to stick to raising the quality of what you have rather than selling at the cheaper price. 13 is less banquets and large functions in hotels, pretty much seen at the moment already. So I think this trend will continue. So businesses that prioritize weddings, large events, etc., need to look for other opportunities for a while. AEN, we also have been trying to organize our first ecotourism travel mart in this September in Manila. However, we've decided to postpone this because we think that it's very important to think about meeting the social pressure, but also the responsibility of how we should be engaging with our families and members of our organization. Number 14 is the flexible booking options. It's very difficult to project what's going to happen in the short term. Nobody really knows. So I think if you're hoteliers or tour operators who have been very strict about cancellation fees, you may want to change your policy so that the cancellation can be accepted without any penalties. This may actually help spur the business. So this is something to think about. Number 15 is strict health and safety protocols for guests and staff. It's true that housekeeping department in the accommodation sector has been at the back of the house, but now actually has become the front of the house. So the indication of the safety of the businesses, which people want to see, how clean you are, or how many times you sanitize the rooms, how you are treating your dishes and the room cleaning, even your hotel vans, shuttles, how often you clean it with the record. Those type of evidence-driven indications may actually spur the businesses because people now want to see that deep cleaning, not just regular cleaning. And also this may require the professional's advice to train your staff. There are a lot of guidelines out there who surf the net, how to actually deep clean your rooms and hotel facilities and other places that in tourism that we use already available. So look for those. AEN may actually try to get some guidelines out of this. If we have the time, we will try. The next one is less buffet in hotels. It's very easy to see that the hotels with all you can eat, all you can drink, you have seen in many properties, these properties are suffering a lot nowadays because people just don't go there. People are avoiding to eat the food that are exposed over many people. So individual sit-down meals rather than all-you-can-eat buffet is more preferred, of course, avoiding contact with others. And in the views of avoiding or reducing the food waste is very, very important. This SDGs, I think 12.3 is a target that we are all aiming for. The food waste is thought to be less when you are serving a large number of people through this buffet. However, because of this pandemic, people are seeking the right kind of portion to eat. So please try not to serve the same portion to every individuals. It just takes one step before serving a meal to ask how much portion they prefer. So if you have any samples, one sample or two samples of the portions, I think people get the idea of how much they should be eating rather than eating, medium portion and asking for more, for example. And number 17 is that more takeaways and less eating. As you all know, the standalone restaurant in particular will continue to see difficulty as people would not feel comfortable sitting down with others having a meal. So unless you're a big operator who can influence many suppliers, I think smaller ecotourism businesses may think about serving takeaway food. Of course, we need to think about how the packages would not create more waste. So those things, including the water bottles and whatnot, are very, very important part of this deal. And lastly, but not least, is that mergers, acquisitions, and consolidations may happen in an accelerated way because the number of businesses will not be also be surviving through this pandemic. This may actually make a drastic change in the tourism industry. So we want to say that the business is going to be unusual, not usual, for the time being in the very short and of course maybe mid-term. We don't know how long it's going to last, but this is the going to be the trend. So if you could incorporate some of the ideas that I have just shown you, may actually promise you a faster recovery when things come back to normal. I hope some of the tips are useful. I think these tips who have been originally developed by our Sri Lankan board member, Sri Lau, really worth the the applause because these things in the written form, which will be posting this on our website very soon. You can come back to it and you can share it. We will also share it in our Facebook page too. So that's the former part of what I wanted to show to you today. And the latter half is about the Global Ecotourism Network letter that we've been trying to circulate called World Interrupted. So I will make it available. I think it is already available on Global Ecotourism Network site. However, I would like to maybe read it out to you so that it's easier to listen than reading yourself. We are in a crisis. For most of us, this is an unprecedented moment. We have never experienced anything like it. Over the last several weeks, we have watched our day-to-day growth saturated with news of global pandemic, of the very real human, health and economic costs that COVID-19 has wrought on the world. It's all we see. It's all we hear. The travel industry, an industry dependent on people actually desiring and being permitted to travel, has complex supply chain. Now, one with many broken links. It seems from major airlines to local guides that everyone is in limbo. Of course, ecotourism is not the anomaly, right? The tourism and hospitality sector directly contributes on average to the economy 4.4% of GDP. while 21.5% of service exports and 6.9% of employment in member countries of Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD. From major airlines to local guides, there's uncertainty everywhere. People have lost their jobs, businesses are closing. We know this will pass, but how long will it take? Who will be left standing, and where will we go from here and from there? We, at the Global Ecotourism Network, are looking at environmental, economic, human impacts that COVID-19 is having on the world, on the micro businesses and entrepreneurs, boutique hotels, small tour operators, naturalist guides, and other locally sourced and life-sourced to locals, travel businesses that have already to reduce their staff, to close their doors, and even shutter their businesses. We also look into COVID-19's impact on travelers, on the trips of a lifetime put on hold, on the destination weddings and honeymoons forever changed, on the experiences missed and the vacations in limbo, on the stress and angst this crisis has caused for travelers too. We are aware of the risks, so let's talk about the opportunities that this reset offers us. First, where do we find these opportunities? So these are some good general guidelines. Number one is taking back over control. Not everything depends on others and external factors. Identify what you can do, even if just washing your hands and cleaning the closets, or maybe you could reach out to help the places and people you love make it through. Number two is buying time. Suddenly everything is on hold. You need the revenue to pay the bills. What can you do to improve cash flow? Can you ask suppliers to wait? Are there people willing to help you with time and or money to keep essential things going? Number three is planning for a sustainable future. You may have time on your hands, so invest it in planning for when things start up again. How can you use the things you have learned to put sustainability in your life, your business, and your destination? Learning new skills. Think about things you always wanted to be able to do, or you have now realized you should be able to do. Complete an online course, read books, practice at home. Who knows, you might find a new passion that you can apply to your travels or your business. Asking for help. Everyone understands that others might need help, so ask for it and ask together. Showing solidarity. We are all in this together. People need people, business needs people, and people need businesses. So what collaboration are possible? We need to think about this. Keeping the people connected. So what we're doing today is this number 7. Ecotourism depending on people connecting to places they have visited or places they dream about visiting. How can you use digital technologies to revive memories or inspire a future visit? Remember that one of the key ingredients of ecotourism is interpretation and storytelling. Even coronavirus can be a compelling story. Are you keeping a diary about this? So all these keys that I had just mentioned could be applied into the destination level. For example, so what has changed now? There's the no tourist. What has improved? Are people now ready to plan for a better, more sustainable destination? How is your environment doing? How are you helping small businesses and tourism workers survive? Is there more collaboration? What information would you like to have? to move forward? And how are you keeping in touch with your past and future visitors? For travelers, what do you want to travel look like when all this is over? Are you ready to make responsible choices? The key is going local. The economic fallout from COVID-19 has already begun. Help stem the damage by choosing local businesses that employ locals and stimulate the economy. This will make an enormous difference in real individual lives. Another key is supporting small businesses. From boutique hotels to tiny travel agencies, small businesses have come together to support their communities during this crisis. Now, you can support them. It's the time. Celebrating nature. We can all agree now, more than ever, we understand and appreciate nature's delicate balance. Make decisions that respect and even protect the environment. Booking direct. If you can, when you can, book your hotels, tours, and other activities directly. This puts more money into communities and economies that need it most. Travel purposefully. We know that there is an environmental impact to travel. Instead of traveling more frequently, travel with greater purpose. Fly less, but experience more. Vacation once, but stay longer. Consume less, but see more. Focus on culture exchange, beautiful places, and lifelong memories. Make every choice with purpose. And last takeaway is rewarding good decisions. Spending your tourism dollars or yen or bahts, your economic capital in destinations that act responsibly. Countries that reacted swiftly and responsibly to the pandemic and that prioritize public health. Nations that protect their natural resources. Places whose priorities, values, and practices mimic your own. So after this reboot, this coronavirus, it is time to regenerate and contribute to a livable world that we want to live and travel in. So this is the message that came out of the Global Ecotourism Network. And I think it's very important to realize and utilize this moment of silence to how to better prepare when things come back to normal. And these ideas already been indicated. And I think we don't want to waste time, but rather choose this time wisely and use this wisely so that when things come back to normal, we can enjoy our ecotourism businesses as we were before this happened. Now I'd like to come back to you, to the floor, where we can get some questions and answer time, or because we have a number of board members with us online, I suppose we can do some interactive session in the remainder of the time. Okay, I would like to start off because I'm based in Japan. I would like to inform what has been happening. And let me just get back to my place. As you know, as in other parts of Asia, I think we are very much grounded, and but thanks to our technology, we can still organize meetings like this. Unlike other Asian countries that are very much restrictive. Japan is lucky in a way that we are not totally grounded. In a way, we still have a liberty to move around, of course, provided that you have a good reason to do so. There are no government has not imposed us any financial penalties, no anything that would affect us in our everyday life, but rather telling us to keep the low profile. So that's what we are doing. And Japan is just like other island nations like Philippines, I suppose Hong Kong could be an island, but we are heavily dependent on air flight. So virtually almost 0% of the tourists are coming to our countries. So our tourism businesses that are dependent on overseas tourists are pretty much suffering from zero income. The difficulties, as you know, is to how to keep the incoming cash flow in order to keep your staff and train. And I know it's difficult, but these things will be the issues coming up from various parts of the world in the month of May. But that's coming from me as an example of Japan. Now, is there any, now that we have a lot of board members, I see, and of course new people who are here, maybe I'll say 50% of us here on that are joining today are new to AEN. So I think we want to engage with some of you. Would our Vice President, I see Albert Face, Alan, Ari, I don't know if you have something to say. Alan, yeah, please go ahead. Can you
hear me?
unmute yourself?
Everybody? You hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Very impressive presentation and a lot of information. First of all, thank you, Masaru, for initiating this talk and sharing about this. A few of the things I feel very impressive, and I think I just make some comment, especially when you say it's a very good time for us to make use of time working at home, to read books, to rethink what we have been doing, to upgrade yourself. And I think we should be, it's a very good time for us to learn from the nature, actually, how this coronavirus was spread out. Even though it's a lot of argument whether from China or not. I think the Chinese people should be humble and should learn from the nature. We should respect the nature, and it's a good time for us to sell this. Well, what happened now is the thing that, because we are not respecting the nature, okay? That is a good point that we should make use of this for educational purpose. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. And it's actually, we see on media, a lot of times that nature is trying to reclaim its land. The birds coming back. I know a lot of the urban cities in Asia experience a lot of air pollution. It's coming back to blue skies. You know these stories. I think this really gave us a chance to realize what we thought is free. It's not really free, you see. So the air that we breathe, the water that we drink, all these things are not free. And the effects that we're imposing to nature is way too much. The human-induced activities can impose a lot of negative things. So promoting sustainable tourism, of course, nature-based sustainable tourism, ecotourism. So I think we need to gather more to really show what have been engaged in so many years in the past. And a lot of us here on AEN have more than 20 years of experience in doing so. So I think AEN can also help others lead the way to share the knowledge and the transfer the wisdom. Any others want to pitch in, Albert? Or Sippy?
Hi, good evening. Albert from Global Ecotourism.
Yes.
Can you all hear?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'll say a few words. Of course, I will do a presentation on the 2nd of May,
Yes.
where I will do a more detailed analysis of how we handle the crisis as a tour operator, as a lodge operator, and also running our NGO.
Mm-hmm.
I sense that I've been spending a lot of time actually on the internet, looking and studying how Harvard Business case study handled the crisis. So hopefully I'll pass on some ideas. I am actually also, while we are handling the crisis, I also very concerned what happened after the vaccine is found. I think that just like us, many companies will be draining. I don't know, Supi agree or not. Our funds are running out very fast. And we have to keep a close eye on our cash reserve, right?
Yes.
But what happened after this is more critical, I think, the post-recovery. While we are all focused on the immediate, I would suggest also we keep an eye on the medium and long term, because I've been watching a lot of YouTube on economists from the US. The contagion effect of this will impact the economic and the financial market harder than the vaccine, the problem with the virus. So I am very concerned with that, because that will lead us to a depression, not just a recession. And we are not so lucky like some countries in the West where they can do quantitative easing. They print a lot of money, but we are too poor to print a lot of money. Our money will devalue critically. So we do not have that option or luxury. So from your presentation, Masaru, I think we, in a way, those nearby destinations, we have to help each other to recover faster by supporting each other. Of course, domestic tourism first, and then to the short haul. So we have to support each other. Mm-hmm. But to do that, we have to get rid of our virus problem first domestically. And this is where I think we are finding hard, because cases are still cropping out here and there. And we are very fortunate that China is coming in with a team to help us to flatten the curve, so to say. Mm-hmm. And I think I better stop here.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Albert, for sharing. I look forward to your presentation in coming days. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, not limited to AEN. I think we can open to the floor if you have any questions on AEN or how you can be engaged more. We normally have 2 board meetings a year. In June, which will be, I'm sure, postponed, or will be only held digitally, but normally the first week of June, we would gather in Bangkok. And in the first beginning of January, we also go outside of Thailand. So these 2 places where we have the board meetings, and on other events, we have by the contract, we go to places in our member countries and the province. We now have 17 countries and provinces in Asia and the Pacific, and I think this every country would have the contact person as a board member. So these people are actually are the drivers in your countries to promote authentic ecotourism. So we want to keep engaged through AEN. We think we are a very big family in Asia and Pacific. Any take from the floor? If not, I think, was there anyone? You can unmute yourself and present your name if you like to. Kelsey?
Okay. Oh, Kelsey.
Go ahead. Kelsey, you want to unmute yourself? Oh, can unmute yourself.
Hi everyone. This is from Montenegro, with the mountains in my background. And good day, everyone. Good day, everyone. Good evening to you in Asia. Thank you very much for a very good content and presentation and sharing all this. I believe here in Europe and in Gen we are sharing the same thoughts and I have a little suggestion, which is from another network where I'm also engaged in. This is the Travel Massive, and we will organize a webinar on the 4th of May, which may be of interest also for young people who are guides or small businesses. This will be a webinar with the founder of the application called WeView, how you can use virtual experiences right now when people have to stick to their homes or are not going to travel far distance, how you can still keep them engaged with your places, with your stories. And this will be on the 4th of May through the Travel Massive. I can share the link here on the chat if you like. Nikki, who is the founder, she's from Iran. She's a young lady, young entrepreneur, and I like to support her. She won, actually, she got the first prize of the social entrepreneurship competition last year, which was supported by ITB, etc. No, so that's from me. I'll share the link on the chat.
Yeah, excellent. Enjoy your sunny day, looks like. All right, thank you, Kelsey. Well, Kelsey is the board member of the Global Ecotourism Network, and she's also with the European Ecotourism Network. So that's why she is engaged within our team. Did we have anyone else? If you can wave your hand or put your...
May I speak?
Okay, yeah, please, Mohit.
Yes. So on May 3rd, which is, I can't remember which day is it, but I have a scheduled, sort of talk about using certain parameters, business parameters. So while we're all sitting back and doing whatever we have to do in terms of our skill building and strategy and systems, it'll be important for you all to attend, and if you can have other people also spread the message that these parameters are really basic in nature, but as business people, small business owners, we tend to miss out these parameters. So I'm very excited to share that those those parameters, that science with everybody. If you can invite more people to be there on the 3rd of May, it'll be brilliant.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mohit. So Mr. Mohit is also our AEN board member based in India, and he's scheduled to talk on the 3rd. So just to go back to our schedule before we break out in a few minutes. The next talk is scheduled on May 1st, 4 p.m. Bangkok time, by Zane Smith, who is a New Zealand based board member, talking about the New Zealand South Pacific COVID impacts on tourism economy. And the very next day, then we'll have Albert, who just have spoken from Malaysia, with the Borneo Ecotours. Albert will be presenting on the strategies on survival for strong recovery, in particular, how he's doing dealing with this COVID recovery on the ground through his business. And on the 3rd, Mohit, who have just also spoken on the 3rd, and in a later date on the COVID, we have Niracha on the on the 8th. But we also have another topic, which is under ecotourism training. Just to remind you that on the May 5th, if you're not registered yet, we have Samir from Nepal, 2 p.m. Bangkok, not 4 p.m. So please be noting that. And last but not least, at this moment, we have the May 12th, 4 p.m. Bangkok by Kazu from Japan, talking on the fundamentals of eco guides, understanding your guests. So these are all lined up by our board fellow members. Thank you very much for supporting AEN. I think we all are sharing these stories on a pro bono basis, as AEN is a not-for-profit organization. We would like to see you again in a few days' time online. Please register if you have not yet done so. And I'll be next time moderating so that you will not be swayed by all these people who are trying to, put messages and try to get in online. So thank you so much again. It's 7 p.m. Japan time. I'm gonna go for a good glass of beer. And I'll see you on the first when New Zealander Zane will come back. So stay low profile, keep good health, be with your family, think about nature and ecotourism. Thank you again. Good evening, everyone. Bye. Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Masaru.
Yes.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers. Oh, Ivy, I
Yeah.
see you too. Nakada-san.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. I'm just going to shut off now. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you. ありがとうございます。
はい、ありがとう。お疲れさん。
頑張りましょう。
やりましょう。ありがとう。Thank you.